Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 163.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I am your host, Jay Massey, and guess what? You are being let in on the inside of how things get done over here, and you're one of those lucky individuals who get to hear from all the people over here that make everything that you see happen. You wonder, is Jay superhuman? The answer is absolutely not. I promise you, hang out with me for a weekend and you will see all the faults, all the cracks. There's there, but we've got ourselves surrounded by an excellent team. And this time, you probably wonder how we are able to produce so many things in so many different formats. You guys probably have noticed that I like to make sure that you have something that you can see, something that you can hear, and something that you can read. I want to make sure that we hit all of those different modes of communication. And you probably picked up on the fact that I prefer video personally and or audio because that's what I do. It's one thing to be able to communicate with words in oral form. It's another to be able to do it in written form. So today, you are going to be able to hear from the person who helps me take all of my words from from oral form over to rental. See, I'm already thinking about rental property again. Over to written form so that you can understand how these things get done. At the end of the day, you got to always focus on what you do best. So help me welcome Miss Sandra. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, and it's actually Ray. All these time we've been together. It's Sandra Ray.
That's sad. Awesome. I'm always good to learn new things. This is great. So do me a favor. Help, because sometimes I do a horrible job of telling everybody what you guys do. I really do. So share with everyone, if you will, first, a little bit about where you came from, like what you used to do. We'll call that the pre-J days, and what you do now and what you do here at the Cashflow Diary, and how you help us, look awesome.
I was hoping you'd ask me what I was doing before I became a superwoman.
That's right. I do. Yes, the superheroes are everywhere. And yes. See, for those of you who listen to the podcast, now you know the secrets here. She was prepared for that. But see, the secret is you throw them off. That's the secret here. So before you were a superwoman with us, what was your alter ego, if you will? What did you do before? And describe more fully in your words what your role is here with the Cashflow Diary.
Okay, this has been about a 25-year journey for me, and I actually started out wanting to be an actress, and I realized I'm not really that great in front of the camera because I get a little nervous. But I found out I was really good behind the scenes, so I could help build sets and help write things. And then I realized, writing is my strength. So that's what I wanted to become. Plus, I was kind of headed that way since I was 4 years old. I still have some of my first writings when I was 4 years old. I was one of those spontaneous readers. So I knew how to write really fast and early on. And I would write stories, and I still have them in my closet today. So it's been a lifelong journey, but I took a little bit of side roads as I was learning different parts of how to work in a corporate environment. And I went to college, and through college, I was working different jobs. And when I got out of college, I realized what I'd been trained to do in college wasn't going to work really well So then I was like, okay, what now? Yeah, I have an English degree with a writing option. Okay, great. Now what? So I did a string of jobs where I was a temp worker. And as a temp worker, I would go in. I didn't know anything about computers or anything like that. And I'd walk in and I'd look at I'd say I did. And then I'd walk in and pick the friendliest face I could find. And they would teach me real fast how to do that job. And then I realized, hey, you know what? I can cut out the middleman. I can just go ahead and directly go to companies and sell them my services. And that was the entrance to my becoming a consultant or a contract worker. And I built my skill set solely on being a temp worker in an office environment. And then I went on and actually took a job at a magazine publishing house in Torrance. And I didn't like being a production manager, which is what I was labeled as. And I worked my way toward being an editor. They wouldn't let me do it. So I went on and found other temp work until I found a new place to be like a 9-to-5 worker at Saatchi & Saatchi in Torrance, which is a big ad agency. And I was a proofreader. For 3 years, I was a proofreader at Saatchi & Saatchi. And then from there, I took internal jobs under the table because I wasn't allowed to be a writer there, but they taught me a lot. And eventually I moved out to Orange County, where I am now, and I became an editor at a magazine publishing house here. And so basically my trail is every time I went to take a corporate job, I really wasn't a very good corporate worker because I liked to leave at 3:00, not 5. I was a clock watcher. I had already done all my work, so I was pretty fast, got the skill set. So I would leave that company after a period of time and take them as a freelance client. So I had a good base of freelance clients from those jobs. Yeah. So it was a pretty cool experience. And then I just I started writing in my own business. I have master marketing and PR and full circle media and author promotions. And that's what I started doing, working with authors and writing my own books and helping other people with theirs. And it just morphed from there. There's pretty much nothing I can't write.
Right. So those boring stereo manuals, that's your fault? Is that what you're trying to
tell me? No, I won't take those. That's the one job. If you call me, I don't care. You offer me $1 million. That's not me.
Yeah, that one's hard.
Know your market? Yeah, I know my market.
Got it. So, you know, what's interesting is as I get this also gives me an opportunity to learn about you guys as well. But there was something you said that reminded me that I want to share with everybody. John Assaraf has said, and I share this with you guys, you want to find those who play at what you work at. And many of you may not have heard that, but if you knew, Sandy the way that I know Sandy, the speed with which she produces written content from my words is absolutely crazy. And she totally plays at it. And I'm sure in the time that I, get one written sentence, she's probably got like 3 paragraphs or something. And it's just amazing her ability to organize the content and all these things, which leads me to the point that I think is going to be important for everybody. Take a job, not for compensation, but for education. As you saw and heard, she was able to take those corporate jobs and she got what she needed from them. Yeah, many times, most of us, we get done with our work well before the 8 hours is over, and we try to find other things to fill up that extra time. So that's interesting that you've done that. And now she creates value by helping us, people who have things to say them well in written form, because a lot of the world still reads. So let me ask you this, because I'm sure many people are thinking that. How did you find us? How did you make your way over here to the Cashflow Diary?
Well, amazingly, Jay, it was through a cash flow game.
Wow. Shocker.
Yeah, I was introduced to you through a cash flow game. And not, you weren't actually even at that one. I want to have people hear that part. This is one of the best networking tools I have ever experienced in my life, because you start talking about yourself at the table and you're having communication with the people you're playing with, and eventually, and probably right up front, they're going to say, oh, well, what do you do? Well, this is what I do. And then somebody at the table is going to go, I know somebody who needs your service, blah, blah, blah. So sometimes it's not even about real estate too. It's about what you can do in your business. So it's a good business marketing tool as well. So, not that I haven't learned a lot about real estate.
Well, and that's the thing that I want to communicate. Some people may be wondering, well, Jay, how can I, as a real estate investor, use the services of someone like yourself? Why is your role necessary? I wanted you to tell them. I know why. I'm very clear on it. It's clear to me because there's so much that would not happen. But I want to hear in your words on how you believe you provide, or why someone in your role provides excellent value for those of us that are out there as real estate investors.
Well, like you said, everybody needs written material. And maybe they are really great in front of the camera, and they can have, they can throw out content upon content upon content, like some people we know. But they need somebody to come up behind them and translate all of that stuff into emails and blog pieces or whatever needs to be written. All educational materials are written, right? They come from somewhere. So they need someone like me, especially somebody fast is nice to keep up on our team. It's very, very important. But you need somebody that has the experience, because you couldn't take somebody like fresh out of school or somebody who hasn't had a whole lot of experience and put them into this kind of role and go, okay, go. And you have to be able to get into the mindset of the people that you're working with as well. So I think that's where I bring value. I know you pretty darned well because I've had a lot of time with you and interview you and a lot. So I can get into your mindset and help you even more with the written material. So anybody who who's doing what you do, they need someone like me, period. So they need a writer.
And that's the thing, is that understand we're all in a business of communication, and that communication, occasionally you say, well, Jay, all I want to do is sell property. Well, that's great. You still have to communicate that to the potential sellers and the potential buyers in your database somehow, some way. And it's usually going to be in written form, because you can't call them all. And you can't you can't always be in front of them in the way that you want to. And it may seem, simple. You're like, oh, I'll just shoot them a quick email. But there have been times where I shot them a quick email, and then Sandy looks at it and go, did you send that? I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with it? And she's like, how about you just run them by me the next time? And you don't know what you don't know about that skill set, but you got to be clear about what you're communicating, because what is said is different than what is written, even though it just translates. It's an interesting thing how our brains work in that way. And, those are the things that we're looking to do, is provide value through communicating these things. So, Sandy, let me ask you this. When you were at that Cashflow game, what were your initial perceptions of what you would find when we met?
When we actually met,
yes.
It was funny because I didn't expect you to be kind of introverted, and you were. But we clicked pretty much, I think, right off. On my side, at least, we clicked pretty fast. And there was something about how we communicated and how you communicated your intentions as to what you wanted from me and what your overall goals were, that made me want to work with you. And I can tell you this really truthfully. There's a lot of people I don't want to work with. When I meet them, I'm like, no, they've just been scratched off the list. You were not one of them. I came back to my home and I spoke to my significant other and I said, this guy, I want to work with him. And it was because it's not about money with you. You have an actual intent to help a lot of people. You want to put people in clean, safe, affordable housing. That's not just a line. That's not just, a hype. That's not an advertising. That's really what you want to do. And it was very appealing to me. So I wanted to be a part of your journey. I wanted to be a part of the story. And I love what you say as a writer, particularly. What is it that you say? You say, about your life story. It's just, a sentence in a new paragraph. What is that quote that you always say?
You've got me. You miss. I don't remember. I say so many things.
Oh, it's in the book. I think
I
people need to
know.
go read that book, but it's a beautiful quote about how, a problem doesn't just end your story. It's a
No,
new sentence in your
absolutely.
new paragraph
Absolutely.
anyway. But
No
I
one's
like that
story
as a
is over.
writer.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. No one's story is over. It's just beginning. The everything that has happened to each and every one of us is the very reason we need to go out there and show the world and show others that, hey, it's okay. We can make these things happen. But you said something that I think was very, very cool and interesting that other people are going to want to know. You said that I was a person that you wanted to work with. So what do you think those listening can do to become that person that others want to work with? How do they do that?
Frankly, I think it's being more interested in the other person and what you like when you say, this is true, listen for those problems. That's absolutely the truth. You are a person who absolutely listens. Why your interviews, for example, are good and they interest me. I love listening to the podcast because you're actually listening to the answers. I and I can see you on here. They can't, but I see you jotting things down. And you're actually listening to the answers, which makes a terrific interview. I mean, that's the best skill. But if somebody wants to be that person, stop talking and listen to the other person. Just listen to the other person and see what the problem really is that you can help with. That is not a joke. And that's what you do. You make people feel valued because you're listening. And that's the kind of person, because I've worked with other types and they're more interested in the bottom line, the dollar, how much money can they make? No, that's not who you are. And I like the feeling of your spirit. You're a very spiritual person. So I enjoy working with someone like you.
That's good. I'm glad
I got rid of the other people that I used to work with that don't act that way.
Well, speaking of action, obviously we're known for what we call or moving at the speed of instruction, and occasionally the speed of light when we can. So we work very, very fast and we implement even faster. How does that affect your ability to either provide value, and is that the best way for all of us to go out there and work or try to find those individuals who can do that? Because sometimes I assume there are other writers out there who are like dreadfully slow. How important is it that we prioritize things like speed? I know for me it's huge, but is that standard? Is that normal?
That is not normal. No, but I like it because I have a pretty fast mind. You have a lightning fast mind. You run circles around me. But, I think that I like the speed at which we work. I like to get things off my task list. I like to get things off the to-do list, and I do it pretty well. And it's not because you and I are sitting here doing it by ourselves. We have a whole team. So somebody checks me, somebody checks you. We check each other, and it works out really well. I don't mind the speed at all. I like it. Now there is planning. We do need to, we do planning better these days, but
man, you got to tell them everything. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, this is what you wanted. Anyway, but yeah, I like the speed, and I like the fact that we have weekly meetings.
Right.
And that keeps everybody on track. You have meetings with a lot more of the people in your team than I, we have one, and then I have another every week. So we stay on track. We have a back-end system that helps us stay on track too. So personally, I'm just one of those people who like to get those items off my list, and then I feel better. Otherwise, I have problems sleeping. And I have to get up in the middle of the night and do things like, write and get them off my head, because I am writing at all times. In my head, it's the craziest thing, and I don't know if this is something common to other writers, but I am constantly writing, because I'm also writing my own things, right? And right. I have my own ideas too. And that's also another thing I enjoy working in this team, because there's no way you'd ever say, oh, don't go over and do those things for yourself too. You actually want us to do that. And so as a result, I mean, my life has changed so much since I've met you and started working with you. And I'm grateful, truly grateful.
Let's talk about that, because that's actually been one of my challenges, is that oftentimes individuals come, they work, they learn, they grow, they leave. But yet, you've stayed, and thus, but you've also mentioned that you've learned. I'd love to know some of the things that you've learned since you've been here.
Oh my God. Well, first off, on the marketing side, I think that even though I've been a marketing person for a long time, I've done PR, I've helped a lot of people in their businesses. I've learned from other team members something about the whole funnel and how that works. And that was really intriguing to me because I realized I was missing pieces. And I've been learning about real estate investing, and I'm actually getting out there and doing it myself because I figure if I'm not going to use what I'm sitting here learning with you, wouldn't that be kind of like, I don't know, owning a gold mine and never going in to bother to pick a few chunks up and come on out, wouldn't it be? So I'm actually doing that. And I'm excited. I have partners that I've met at Cashflow games, either on my own or through people you're involved with. And I can't tell you, I have taken real estate training long time in the past. It's nothing like this. This is great. It's like you're my mentor too, which is kind of fabulous. If I have a question, guess what? I get to ask you. But I'm going to be doing multifamily with some pretty cool people, and I'm excited because I'm not a spring chicken, as they might say. So, of course, I'm looking at retirement and how do I make that better? So, yes, I've learned all about real estate, and I'm not going to stop. I'll keep learning.
Which brings up the next point when you start talking about spring chickens and all these things is someone, okay, so there's the option to do it yourself. But if someone was looking to find a Sandy for themselves so that maybe they could produce more ebooks, or maybe they could produce more written content that explains things to investors, and like the deals that we're working on, especially the international one, you're heavily involved in a lot of the writing that's required. How do they find you? I mean, because, if they haven't played a cash flow game, they might not have made that happen. But how does someone strategically go out and find someone with your skill sets? What's the best way to do that? All right. Hopefully you are enjoying the interviews that we're doing, and we're going to be doing again and again with a lot of the team. As you can tell, this is part of the Administrative Professionals Week, so I'm introducing you guys to everyone who helps us get the things done. And I wanted to take a moment and let you know that Mute Me, the username Mute Me, who left a review on the podcast, you are the winner of this week's Cashflow Diary contest. Again, all you got to do to enter is leave a review on iTunes, the written review with your username. So Mute Me, send an email over to info@cashflowdiary.com, and we will get your cashflow game out to you. With that being said, let's go ahead and get back to it.
They're going to have to talk to people, and they're going to have to ask for samples. And they can be anywhere. I mean, and people don't know this or don't utilize it, but did you know Craigslist is a really good tool sometimes? Yes, there you go. You didn't know that, but Craigslist, I have gotten some great clients. They have certainly got a great writer through any kind of my Craigslist postings, which I'll do once in a while. And I think you can just meet with them, see if you mesh, if your mindsets are aligned. I've been hired in 10 minutes before because our mindsets are so aligned, and I'm fast on my feet as far as I can get what you're trying to say. So they're just going to have to talk to people. They can't just blindly go and hire anybody. Because there's writers that know. I mean, you could, sure you could, but it won't work out very well for you. You have to make sure to meet them, talk to them, let them show you what they've done. Let them know, like I need to let them know, what are my full capabilities? What have I done in the past? Just let them talk to you and share with them, the past, share their journey like you're doing now. because you had a lot of questions for me up front. I believe we had 3 meetings,
Yeah, it
but
was more than one for sure.
yeah, but anyway, but you ask a lot of great questions, and I think that would be the thing. Be prepared, ask good questions, and decide if this person would really fit with your goals.
Got it. So that brings up then what you said samples, and I'm like, well, okay, I can get a sample, but how do I know that the sample is good? If I've never, written, and I don't know how to tell good writing from bad writing. Is there top 3 criteria that I could look for? How do I make that happen?
Actually, you know how they always say, the beauty of a piece of art is in the eye of the beholder. Like maybe I don't like Picasso, but you like Picasso, something like that. It's if the writing examples or the samples that the person brings, are they in alignment with the way that you want your information presented? Because if I brought to you this big work of academia with footnotes and stuff, would that have worked for you? Probably not, but I write in the way that we speak. I write in a very lower language like we speak. If it is a work of academia, you want to make sure that person can write in academic content. Like I've written all sorts of, this will be scary to some people, but I've written a lot of continuing education courses for doctors and nurses. I am neither a doctor nor a nurse, but I'm a real good researcher and I can write to that higher level too. It just doesn't interest me a whole lot. I like writing to the people from a more of a layman's standpoint or the expert standpoint, but in language they're going to understand. So it's not that there's criteria. It's like, what is your criteria? What are you needing? Show me that.
Got it. So is this beginning to sound a lot like investor identity, but in a completely different way?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love it. So, and then you mentioned, you've got to ask good questions. And yes, you said that I ask good questions, but what some of those questions you've seen bad writing. You've proofread probably some horrible writing. You've seen what happens to most entrepreneurs when they're out there trying to find someone to help communicate their message in all the various forms that we are challenged with doing so. So what would you say are maybe the top 5 questions that we need to be asking to see if this person should even make the short list and we should even ask for samples?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think one of the things would be a top question. I wasn't prepared for this one at all. One of the top questions would be, have they ever worked, had an interest in, had written for? Because even if they haven't written for your industry, do they have an interest and a capability of understanding that industry? Because that would be a really important one. The second one is, what is your experience as a writer? I mean, what have you done? Have you done blog pieces? Do you know? It's an odd thing. Early on, someone said, well, you should specialize in one area or another. If I had done that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I do today. So you want somebody who can do a lot of different things. So ask them, what kind of writing have they done? Do they have samples? Have they ever been published? I've been published. I can show, Google my name. I'm not afraid to say Google my name because I know what's out there that I've done and I'm proud of it. Let me see. What's another question? Oh, what would be good? What type of mindset do they have? I mean, what type of worker are they? Because I was always known as one of the faster writers. I'm one of the fastest writers in the West, but, and it works for me, but it doesn't. Like you said, there's some people who take a week to do what I'll do in an hour. I can't explain that to you, but that's just how their mindset works. That's how their processes work. They have to think about every little thing. I process pretty quickly. So you want to ask them, how fast can I get that X, Y, or Z? And they should be able to tell you within a couple of days what that is. How are they at meeting deadlines? I'm very deadline driven. Give me a deadline. I'll do it. I enjoy that. And so you want to have somebody who's very goal oriented and deadline driven. Is that more than 5?
It's good. It's good. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, I always want to just remind people that you don't have to be good at every part of your business. Now, one of the parts you should be good at is communication. You've got to figure out what way you communicate best. And that doesn't mean that's the only way you communicate, because if you do, then you're going to miss a wide variety of people. And the written word has been around for quite some time, a lot longer than, video and or, radio or podcasting or any of those mediums. I guess for the person who's deciding to do the writing themselves, what would you say what's the number one mistake you see people make when they're going out there to try to do their own writing? And then what are the top 3 things they could do to correct that?
It's a funny thing. I've always wondered, I went to college for learning to write, let's just say, but like I said, it wasn't in alignment with the real world. I suggest, whether you go to college or not for it, go and become an intern. Become an intern at an ad agency or a marketing company, or any specific kind of company around writing, because that's actually going to fast track you into what you actually want to do if you're interested in becoming a freelancer or a contract worker, which, I totally prefer. I will back up here for just a second. One of the companies that I believe they're no longer, but it was called Practice Builders. And we had teams of 4. And in the teams of 4, we had a senior writer, which in that case was me, and a junior writer. We had an admin person and a designer. And we had to crank copy out in order to be paid. And that was one of the best experiences for me personally. And that's how somebody who wants to get into writing, they need to work with someone like me who can teach them quick, or get into a situation like that where they're actually being paid to learn. And they had extra internal classes there. You can take extra classes. Like, I don't care what you learned in college. I'm pretty sure that as a writer might not fit the real world. So get out there and take some marketing classes, take some specific writing classes, go learn to write a blog, go learn to write a website, or in my case, direct websites too, and all that other stuff that you're interested in doing, because the more you know in different facets of writing, the better you're going to be. You're going to be the me. Honestly, because I'm not a lot of me out there, because they do tend to specialize. So don't specialize. That would be the number one thing. Unless you're going into academic work, in which case, go ahead. Or technical writing. You can do that too. Let me see. I don't know. I think just get your feet in the trenches and do the work for low pay, get your skill set, and then you'll be very valued later. That is the truth.
That sounds a lot like you do your first deals for experience, not profit. And then later you get
true.
to profit from your experience. That's really, really funny. And guys, you should have seen, so I've been going through this process here of learning how to do more written stuff myself as well. And because I can do pretty good in front of the camera on audio and all those types of things. But sometimes you heard it talk about planning earlier. So I've been introduced to the concept of mind maps, and I started trying to mind map what I thought was going to be one article. And I send it over to Sandy. She's like, all right, so we got another book here. This is good. And I'm like, what? It was supposed to be one article. It's such an important skill set, and you never realize how much you're thinking, and until you write it out, you're like, wow, I didn't realize I wrote so much. Imagine someone trying to read all that. And it's a skill set to keep that keep that interest of the reader. And she's been doing it a long time, and I am very, very grateful for it. And hopefully you guys are too, because that's, you're like, wow, that's what it takes in order to communicate what it is. If you're on a mission to provide clean, safe, affordable housing to people that need it when it matters most, whether that's Walmart, Target, or Nordstrom property, it doesn't really matter. You got to find the best ways to communicate that vision. So what would you say is your favorite thing about hanging around us crazy people?
I love the unity of our team. We've got killer people. And that's something people that are listening now have to understand too. It's not just that you get a team. That's not going to always work. It's going to be the right members on the team. It's going to be, do their personalities mesh? Can actually talk problems out, because it's not like all smooth running. Everybody's going to have their own opinions. If you have 5 people, they might have 5 opinions, but we have to come together as a team. And I like our team. I like the people on the other side, the investment side. I love them. They're easy to communicate with. And I love the people in on the marketing side. They're really easy to communicate with. We actually have become friends. We meet for coffee. We text each other. You know what I mean? It's a good cohesive team. And it is the best group of people I have ever worked with.
Awesome.
They're smart folk.
Awesome. That's good to hear. As I've said before, strive to be the dumbest person in the room. And as you can tell, as we're talking with Sandy, I have accomplished that again in another area, because she knows way more about writing than I can't even begin to understand, which is great for me and also great for you. And it's great for your customers, because when you go that far to build the infrastructure necessary, when you go deep, you can go high, you can go wide and do all kinds of things. So, Sandy, for that entrepreneur that's considering, getting involved in real estate or thinking about it, and they know, or maybe they're looking to raise capital and they're like, man, I'm just having trouble communicating to investors. What would be the thing that you would say that they should do right now? Something they can do after listening to you and I right now that could help them improve their ability to communicate.
My goodness. My first, really, the honest response would be, go get your book. But you know what? They probably already have it. But I would they have to learn from other people, they want to replicate. So load their minds up with the good books. They have to become good communicators. They just have to. And they can find somebody like me to help them communicate. Like you said, if they don't know how to do it, that's okay. Find a good writer, however that looks to them. Go and play a few cash flow games. Maybe they'll meet one.
Totally.
I don't know. I think it's just get out there and become the best communicator you could be, possibly.
Got it. And now I get it. Yeah, at the same time, I think what she's really saying, guys, is go out there and fail. Don't go fail forward, fail fast, fail frequently, and you'll eventually fail your way right into the relationship you're looking for. And ta-da, then it all seems like you strategically planned it from the beginning and it all works out. I think that's what I'm hearing. Is that close to accurate?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's not like I just got, successful out of the chute. I had to test different groups first, I guess, but
test. Yes.
But no, I was really happy to find, my involvement here. In fact, I believe I wanted to be so badly that I asked to come and join you guys. So.
Yes, I do remember you tracking us down. That was fun. Yeah. It's all good. But yeah, go ahead. You're going to have, what do you say? You have to kiss a lot of frogs, exactly.
Before you find, but that's true. You do. You have to, on both sides, I'm sure that you've talked to other writers before you me, and I've talked to other people before I found you, and, maybe it's not going to work. So yeah, if you want to call that a failure event, fine, but it's just a learning experience. That's all it is. I'm not afraid of making mistakes, because things can always be adjusted. And even in my writing, I make mistakes. So what? You know what? We have a whole group to tell me that's not right. Yes. Go do it again.
Yeah, right. Totally. That comma's in the wrong place. Not that.
I don't hear that part from anybody. But the message, it has to be on target. And sometimes the message I'm not quite sure, but I get to ask questions. I can call you, or I can call the other people that I work with on the team, and they will direct me as far as getting that back in alignment.
That's awesome. Excellent. Any last words that you'd like to share with anyone?
Work with Jay Massey. He's the coolest. I don't know.
You're funny.
No, really, I don't. I mean, if they want to go find someone like me out there, they just have to get out and start looking at, there's a lot of websites that have freelancers. If they're looking for a freelancer, they can check out different agencies and things like that, but that's going to be a lot more costly. And I would actually browse Craigslist postings. And if they can write an ad in Craigslist, maybe they can write for you.
Wow. Well, there's the ninja secret, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to end on that. I definitely appreciate you taking your time to be here with us today, Sandy.
Well, thank you for having me. This was kind of strange for me but it was fun.
That's good. Welcome to my world. See, saying everything. I write nothing. I say it all. And this is normal for me, strange for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? It is time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? It may mean you actually go peruse Craigslist and figure out, hey, can this person write it? If they can write that ad, maybe they can write for me too. Or maybe they can help you learn how to write. There are so many ways that we must learn to communicate when it comes to being a bigger, better, badder investor. And in order to do that, you got to start somewhere. Remember this, every master was once a disaster. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Until next time.